today we're going to be talking about the complete process of how you can go and backtest a strategy. And the two different types of backtesting, I'm basically just going to go through the whole process. The two types of backtesting, so essentially they are the same, but the difference is where you're focusing most of your energy. Okay, and so the two types of backtesting are, number one is testing profitability. And this is going to be if you've got a strategy and you're not 100% sure if it's profitable yet. You're kind of in the creation stage, or maybe you've just learned something and you just want to make sure for yourself that it does work instead of just trusting someone else's opinion, which is highly recommended. And the second one is just confidence gaining. So again, this is just going to be, you know the strategy, you're just trying to get to know the rules, specifically when to take it, when not to take it, exactly, basically just making sure that you're being systematic in the way that you're looking for setups. Very, very simple. Okay, and I've broken it down into 6 main phases. Now, don't be turned off by the fact that there are 6 phases. These are just things to implement on each kind of stage that you will go through. So the first one is you need to have clear rules to test. Okay, because if you don't have clear rules to test, then the results aren't going to be accurate and aren't going to be something that you can base your trade decisions off. Now, remember, in one of my previous videos, I talk about importance of a trading plan and how to build out a trading plan. And so I talk about in there about the importance of having a plan allows you to have consistency over the long run, because it's like your game of probabilities and it's like your edge as if you were the casino. Okay, and so if you keep changing your edge, then it's not really an edge anymore. Okay, and so you need clear rules to test. When this happens, I do this. When this happens, I do this. I take it if this, and this all line up, for example. And the next thing is you need to commit to taking every setup that fits those rules, even if it's a loss. It's very, very easy when you're backtesting to begin to cherry pick. And the same goes, same is true for live market conditions. It's very easy to go, oh, I don't like the look of this, or I like the look of this, or blah, 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 blah. And what you'll end up doing is you will end up cherry picking. And as a result of that, your results are going to be totally skewed, either for the better or for the worse. But either way, it's not going to prepare you for the reality of live trading. Okay, or even demo trading for that matter. So once you've committed to these things, you've got clear rules, then you can move on to phase 2. Now, in here, I put period blocks at first round. Now, period blocks are basically time periods where you're going to be testing. Now, the reason that I do it in period blocks will become more apparent in phase 3, but they are essentially, depending on the time frame that you're doing, it's going to be a period where you can get about 10 to 20 trades in. Okay, so a period block for you can either be literally every 10 or 20 trades, or it can be a certain time period. So for example, if we were on the 15-minute time frame, we could say, every 2 calendar days, we will, so from here to here, that is going to be our period. Okay, and so we need to pick what our period block is, and then we want to do our first round. And by that, I basically just mean you want to trade all of the opportunities in there in live conditions. And by live conditions, I mean either in a simulator or pressing replay mode on TradingView. Okay, so let's just say after you've done that, your chart will look something like this. Maybe let's just say you've got 10 of these types of trades here, loads of wins and losses, blah blah blah. Okay. Next thing we want to do is we want to go to phase 3. Now, this is going to be what makes or breaks your backtesting. Okay, it's one of the 2 phases in here that's really, really important, and we'll get onto the next one in a second. But this is extremely important. This is the one that I'd say 95% of people totally leave out. Okay, so let's say that we've got a load of different kind of wins and losses here. We've got loads of different trades there. Okay, and what people will do is they won't bother going and looking back over these. They'll just continue and they'll just aim to just get and bang out 50, 100 trades, so they've got their stats. And whilst that can work in some situations, if you want to guarantee that you are doing everything that you can, then this is what you should be doing. After you've got all of your wins and losses, you need to be going over the wins. Okay, and you want to see, did those wins, every single one of these wins fit my rules? Okay. Did every one of these losses also fit my rules? Okay. So those are 2 things straight off the bat, which is Wins or losses, all the setups that didn't fit your rules, get rid of those. Okay. Just straight away. If they don't fit your rules, get rid of them. Okay. The next one is you want to look for every single setup that fit your rules that you missed, and you want to add that in there. Okay. Exactly as it fits your rules. Okay. And one thing to note is at this stage, you're going to really start noticing how little you know about your plan, especially if you're just beginning to trade it, because you're going to be looking at it going, okay, well, you know, I entered here, but why didn't I enter over here? What stopped me entering here? And it's going to help you gain that trust in your plan. Okay. And bringing it back to the types of backtesting, gaining confidence is one of them. You're going to have a massive, massive focus on phase 3, because you're going to be going over exactly what you did, what you missed, and exactly weeding out basically where you're not being systematic. Okay. Because ultimately that is the goal with trading. We want to be systematic. We want to be like a robot as much as possible. Okay. And so we are weeding out where we are doubting our ability straight off the bat by doing this. Okay. So this is something that I really, really recommend that you spend time on after you've done the first round. Okay. So once you've checked for missed setups and all the setups that didn't fit your rules you've cut out, then you should probably have, you know, a little bit less than you initially started with, or maybe a little bit more from, you know, adding the extra ones in. Then you can move on to phase 4. So phase 4 is simple. Okay. It's basically repeat steps 2 and 3 until you've got 100 trades. Okay. So that's normally going to be, you know, between 5 and 10 sets of period blocks. Okay. So from here to here, you'll probably have 5 to 10, whatever it takes for you to get 100 trades in. Okay. This is important because 100 trades is going to give you a good indication of, you know, the long-term viability of this strategy. Okay. Something may work for 2 days in a row, 3 days in a row, 4 days in a row, and then have, you know, the rest of the year being terrible. Okay. You just don't know. And that is why we test multiple trades. A given for this with backtesting is you are going to want to journal all of the results. It doesn't have to be complicated, can just be a screenshot and the result of the trade, you know, 3R, 2R, 4%, however you want to track it. Okay. But by doing that, it's going to give you confidence on paper, or, you know, I just use Google Sheets. But, you know, it's going to give you very clear evidence of whether it's working or not. You can't argue with the data there. And this might seem boring to you or not, but either way, this is what, you know, a professional trader will do. Okay. And this is what you need to do in order to get to that point. Okay. Especially if it's a new strategy that you're creating. But I'll have another video on that in the future. Okay. So then we move on to phase 5. Now, I mentioned in phase 3 that there were 2 key elements, 2 key phases of this backtesting or backtesting process in general. And phase 5 is another one of those, and it's review and reflect. Okay. So it's very self-explanatory and probably the part that you're most familiar with. And essentially, you're going to want to just cover the basic stats, the win rate, the percentage return. You know, what is your, you know, what are your kind of, are you profitable basically? Okay. Long story short. Okay. Because I mean, if you have a strategy and you know that you're profitable over 100 trades, whether that's because of your win rate, you know, your risk reward, whatever, you're profitable. Okay. So that is what you need to decide first and foremost. Are we profitable? If you're not profitable, then you need to go straight on to phase 6. Okay. So then the next couple of questions are simply preparations for phase 6, which is, are there any common reasons for losses if there are any? Okay. So what you're going to find here is often there will be a lot of common reasons for the losses, and there are going to be a lot of common reasons for the wins. Okay. Now, this isn't always something you should listen to, because you can spend way too long tweaking the strategy, trying to make it perfect. But being aware of this just allows you to get to know your plan to the point where you understand that, okay, if this happens, it has a ever so slightly lower success rate. And as you get more advanced, you can then adjust your risk tolerance based on the probability of that setup. Okay. And so certain additional things that you know line up in one scenario where they don't in another can be the reason why you add, you know, 0.1 0.2% risk onto your thing. And it kind of, as long as you do the maths right, your probabilities will weigh up correctly. But again, that is more of a technical thing for later down the road, but it's just to give you a little idea of what's possible. Okay, so once you've done that, we can move on to phase 6. Okay, this is the final phase. Okay, so we assume that we've got something profitable here. Okay, But if we don't, then we're on phase 6 anyway. And this is tweak and repeat until satisfied. Okay. It's important here that you don't try and reach, for ridiculous expectations based on your strategy. For example, if you've got a 1 to 4 risk reward and you have a 40% success rate, that is extremely good. That is absolutely incredible as a return as a trader. Okay. And so if you are trying to push for 80% success rate with a 1 to 4, you are never going to leave the backtesting process. Okay. I promise you that. Okay. And so you need to have realistic expectations for the specific risk reward and the win rate that you have. If you've got a 1 to 1, then you know that you need to have a win rate above 50%. Therefore, any kind of attempt to improve the strategy should be to improve the win rate. Okay. And therefore, when you have a 55%, when you get up to a 55% success rate, that's good. Okay. That is a good starting place. And it's good to start implementing that immediately. Okay. Don't worry too much about trying to get your success rate or your risk reward up straight off the bat. Okay. Because as long as it's profitable, the only thing that's going to stop you is you. And that's psychological problems that you're going to run into. And that's where 99% of the success is going to come from, and the obstacles and stuff like that. And many more videos coming on that very soon. Okay. So just focus on profitability and going through this process and making sure that you are profitable over 100 trades. Okay. But it's very, very important that you make sure that those 100 trades, bring it back to phase 3, all those trades do fit your plan. You haven't missed any, because sometimes that can slightly skew the odds, either make the, for example, the success rate seem bigger than it is or seem smaller than it is, and it can lead you to misjudge the scenario. So that is pretty much my backtesting process. That is how I like to do it. I really hope that you've enjoyed this. It was definitely a game changer for me, especially with weeding out whether I was being systematic or not, because I used to go back and change some things. Because, I wouldn't take that in live market conditions, when, I really would have done. Okay. So just knowing these things are extremely important. I can't emphasize it enough. Thank you very much. And I will see you on the next one. Happy trading.